Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-race edition for the 2019 Monaco Grand Prix. You don't always need a lot of overtaking for an exciting race. Certainly that is true here at Monaco, the hardest track of the year on which to overtake. But that doesn't mean that it takes any less to win a Grand Prix here, particularly not when you spend 66 laps with one of the fastest drivers in the sport on your rear wing. Lewis Hamilton was the winner from pole position, but it was not an easy day in the office for him. Ultimately, one early pit stop under a safety car on which Hamilton put on mediums and all his rivals put on hard tyres. Well, his teammate Valtteri Bottas changed the tyres on his second stop, which he had to make after making contact with Max Verstappen when Verstappen was released, as it would turn out, in an unsafe manner. Those moments within a lap of each other would have massive consequences for the end of the race, because while Hamilton tried to hold on for 66 laps on those medium tyres with his rivals behind on the hard tyre, it was Max Verstappen never more than a second behind. In fact, for most of the race, only half a second behind, pushing all the way, made a lunge 2 laps from home. They made contact. Verstappen on his rear wing over the line, P2 on the road, P4 with that 5-second penalty, and so it was that Vettel came home second, Bottas came home third, and Hamilton somehow held on for 66 laps on tyres that had gone to pieces. I think it was a thrilling Monaco Grand Prix, up there, if you ask me, with the 1992 contest that we all laud and remember so fondly. Mansell fighting to get past Senna, who made his car as wide as he could. There was the heroic, I think, today in Lewis Hamilton's drive, and one which Niki Lauda, who we mourn this weekend, I think would have been proud of, making the most of a car that was not in its best shape, making most of a car that was, for the majority of today's contest, not the fastest on track. I think Niki would have been pretty pleased seeing Lewis Hamilton dig deep to pull out that win.
Well, it wasn't exciting for me, but yeah, it definitely was a very, very tough race, and one of the hardest races, I think. Probably the hardest race I've ever had. I don't really know how I managed to put it off, but I'm grateful that I was able to. But I was very much on my own out there for such a long period of time. 66 laps, whatever it was a long, long time. And I was hoping for a safety car or something to come out, so maybe we can get some new tires or something, but that didn't come. So it was a real sheer will and determination, and most importantly, focus. When you have pressure like that, it's so easy to lock up, get distracted, come off. And so I would say it's probably one of my proudest performances in terms of not making mistakes and keeping my ish together, in the moments of anger. But this is a day for Niki.
Sebastian, I know it wasn't victory, but second best result of the season. As I've only got one question, can you summarise how the day went?
A bit mixed. Obviously, we were able to benefit on mistakes other people did, which is a great thing. But we also know that the pace, maybe wasn't quite P2 today. So we, in the end, Monaco is a particular race, but we know that there's still a lot of work ahead of us in terms of pace. Mercedes is the benchmark. I think today they probably went on the wrong tyre with Lewis, but he managed the race well and deserved to win.
It was definitely a tough race. We stopped for the first stop same time with Lewis. I was quite close behind, so my stop was slower. Had the incident then on the pit lane with Max, got a puncture at the stop again, so that was pretty much it.
Looking at how the car felt today, if those things hadn't gone wrong, what do you think would have been possible?
I think today, I think second place without any major things, just behind Lewis, but it's frustrating because speed has been really good this weekend for me, and I've been feeling good in the car, and it was about small things yesterday, and that could have made today different, but that's past, and I need to look forward.
Verstappen then, P4 today. As we said, second on the road, fourth at the flag. A little bit of contact at the end of the race with Lewis Hamilton as well. Just made that lunge. Did Lewis close down? They were both under investigation at the end. But ultimately, no harm, no foul decided by the stewards. His teammate, Pierre Gasly, came home fifth, slapped some softs on with about 10 laps to go, went out and duly took the fastest lap of the race. So P4, P5 for Red Bull Racing, but perhaps could have been, should have been, certainly for Max, a little bit more today.
Yeah, I think it was, in general, a very good race. We were very competitive. And of course, with the stop, that was our only way to try and get second. at least second. Of course, then we're side by side, but I didn't know Valtteri was next to me until we touched, and of course he picked up a puncture. It's unfortunate to get a penalty, but whatever the decision. I think I had a very good race and I enjoyed it. I tried to put pressure on Lewis, so at one point he went through his tyres and I was always trying to get a good exit, but it was always just not enough. I tried once, we had a little touch. It's very difficult anyway under braking to look into your mirrors, which you anyway can't see a lot out. But luckily we could just continue without any damage.
We started P8, so we knew it would be difficult to come back on such a track. But I had a good start, managed to get a position at the start, and then after with the safety car, we cleared the two car in front. Tried to be as fast as possible to make the overcut, and that's what we did. So I think it was positive to get this fifth place, starting 8th, and then with the extra point for fastest lap, I think we can be pretty pleased.
Carlos Sainz had been delighted with his qualifying run, and he has every right to be pleased with his race result here in Monaco. Pitted at just the right time, set the fastest lap of the race at that time to bounce Niki down a place, and Carlos Sainz coming home a brilliant 6th today, with Lando Norris out of the points in 11th. Disappointing one for Lando at the end of what was a slightly harder weekend for him, but McLaren and Carlos with a lot to be pleased with a P6.
I'm happy. I'm very happy because today we did exactly what we needed to do, which was to get a good start, to pass the Toro Rosso around the outside of turn 3, which was quite risky, and it will be an interesting onboard to see now. And then good laps before the pit stop, good laps after the pit stop, we saved P6 and then we brought it home.
Overall, really pleased with how things went the whole weekend, because you've seen Donnet after you missed that first session.
I was disappointed after missing FP1, but we managed to recover well. We put a really good lap in qualifying to make it to the top 10. And then good start and good pace and good strategy means we went just forward during the weekend and we finished best of the rest.
An excellent weekend for Toro Rosso, 7th and 8th at the flag, and a brilliant drive from both Niki, who is like a driver reborn this year coming back to Formula One. Phenomenal performances all season long from him, and Alex Albon, who again is just gaining in confidence and strength, and had a bit of a boring day today, staring at his teammate's rear wing for most of the contest. But another strong weekend, another strong drive from both of the Toro Rosso drivers.
This was a very strong race, a very strong result. I'm happy to get all these points today. It's my best race result for Toro Rosso, so very glad. And hopefully now we start understanding our car better and what I need to go quick as well. So hopefully we'll be able to score good points now.
Was it just unlocking something this weekend, or was it track specific?
I think already Barcelona was super strong, very strong. We just found some good performance there. We managed to bring it here. Monaco also, I really like this track, and it was a very good race.
Alex, great result there for you today. Can you kind of sum up your race?
To be honest, it's all down to the team. The team did a very good strategy. We kind of thought about this strategy. We knew that was the possibility with Lando, I think, holding up possibly Kevin and Daniel, I believe. So, very good by them. I think we made the tyres last, that was the main thing as well. And full credit to them guys. 2 cars in the top 10, that's a great result for us.
Now, all the drivers up to this point had kind of gambled right by not stopping under the safety car. Well, apart from the ones that were on the podium and fought for the podium, obviously. The other ones. It didn't quite work out for Renault. They pitted under the safety car, and Daniel Ricciardo, who was running really well at the start of the race, just behind the top 4, ultimately was, I think, the biggest loser in terms of that pit cycle, because he was caught behind much slower cars in the race and ultimately cost him over 30, 40, I think around 40 seconds actually it was at one point. However, a very strong fight to the finish. Romain Grosjean really struggling on his tyres towards the end, and also had a penalty, which meant Daniel Ricciardo came home in P9. His teammate Nico Hülkenberg outside the points again, the strategy not working out for him today. But for Daniel Ricciardo, points, yes, but arguably should have been so much more.
Daniel, mega start today. I thought you were on to a really good result. How did that kind of turn out from there onwards?
Downhill, unfortunately. The start was great, and that was our target. And in the strategy briefing there was quite a bit of emphasis on me getting Kevin at turn 1 and quite a bit of pressure in a way, but that was our real target. Obviously, once we got into 5th, the top 4 were out of our race. So got out of turn 1 in 5th, and I was smiling, and the team gave me a bit of love after that. And then we got a late call in the safety car to box, and to be honest, as soon as we came in, my gut feeling was it wasn't the right call because the tyres were fine and we had the pace. And here it's all about track position, and giving up so much so early just felt wrong. So yeah, disappointing. We missed a very, very big opportunity today to get, I think a 5th, at the very worst a 6th. So yeah, we'll sit down with the guys now and understand it, but certainly frustrated.
But you can take some hope from the fact that the car felt strong here this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's as well the frustration. I think we had a pretty good car in the race. I had 50-something laps on my mediums, and the very last lap of the race I did my personal best, and that just jumped me in front of Grosjean because I heard he had a penalty. So I had a few laps at the end basically to put everything into it, and we had that pace to show. So we definitely were better than 9th. So we'll figure it out. We'll get better.
Now, after a brilliant qualifying performance that saw him start the race in 5th place, Kevin Magnussen was looking like he was bolted on for a great result here in Monaco, but again was one of those drivers who was caught out by the pit rotation and getting caught behind slower drivers under that safety car period. And as the race played out, it ultimately left him 12th and really disappointed. Romain Grosjean came home in the points in 10th. Should have been a better weekend for Haas, and I think they are going to rue. Not their fault ultimately, but it should have been so much more.
Yeah, we tried a different strategy, and I was hoping there would be a safety car at good time. I think Albon stayed out a long time as well, and it wasn't very fast to the end of the stint, so couldn't quite open the gap to Sainz, and then I wore on my tyres, which we expected. I think we went longer than we had anticipated on. And then, the second part was just faster than the McLaren and the Toro Rosso, but there's no chance to overtake here in Monaco. And so the footage for the line and the pit exit is very close. I don't know. At the minute, I'd argue that I still have a part of my car touching the line. Maybe tomorrow is a different story. I don't know. A bit of a shame because P9 would have been nicer than P10, but still got a point starting P13. Yesterday was the big day, Yesterday we should have been well into top 10, and if that was the case, it was a different day today.
So as we've said, it was Lando Norris P11, it was Magnussen P12, meaning that in 13th place was Sergio Perez. Seems quite a long time now since he was standing on the podium here. This hasn't been a track that's suited Force India as was, Racing Point as is. For a couple of years, really tough weekend for them. At times, not much faster than Williams. That new upgrade package still taking time to really come in. A bit disappointing weekend, really. So P14 went to Nico Hülkenberg, but in 15th place, and it seems odd I'm getting excited about somebody in 15th place, but George Russell, P15, ahead of a Racing Point, ahead of both Alfa Romeos. A great job from him today, and this was a race that Williams expected to struggle. Practice gave no indication that they had any pace. It looked like a really difficult weekend for them. No confidence in the car, a car that was changing almost every corner of every lap, draining all the confidence out of their drivers. And yet George Russell comes home 15th, best result in Formula One. For me, probably driver of the day.
Looked like a good day out there. You beat both Alphas. That's pretty strong, isn't it?
Beat both who? Sorry.
Alphas.
Did I? Oh, okay. I don't know. It was positive, really positive. We wasn't really fighting for anything, but I was sort of treating it like I was. I wanted to sort of test myself and really push the limits because, when the time comes when we are fighting, I need to be ready. And my engineer came on the radio at one point and said we're lapping at the same pace of the leaders, so I was quite shocked by that. But they obviously had an issue or something. But I was really pleased with my performance.
Lance Stroll P16, P17 Kimi Räikkönen, Kubica 18, Giovinazzi 19. Let's talk to the Alfa Romeo guys about their weekend. It had all looked so promising. It had all looked so good. This was top 10 potential for them after practice. And it all came unstuck in qualifying out in Q2. Räikkönen, not a great day. Giovinazzi, not a great day. Penalty as well. So, yeah, really hard weekend for Alfa Romeo on what should have been what we thought after practice anyway. An easy weekend of point scoring for them.
Antonio, could you just talk us through that moment with Robert?
Nothing. I was just a little bit frustrating to stay behind. No way to overtake here in Monte Carlo, and I found a space there, but it was not enough, and we touched it. So nothing to say.
Alfa looked like they just lacked pace today. How did it feel in the car? Did you just feel that something was just not right?
We need to check. Yesterday until qualifying the car was really strong, and then in qualifying we didn't understand what happened. Today, to be honest, it's impossible to say if we were good or not, because I stuck behind Williams. Kimi, I don't know what happened, so we need to just check what happened.
Kimi, it looked like Alfa just didn't have the pace today, and you had that little skirmish with Lance Stroll down at the hairpin.
Yeah, but honestly, with all those, I think we had a speed, but certain points, but there's no way to use because you're not going to pass anybody here unless something big happens to the guy in the front. So, what can you do?
And finally, then the only DNF of the day in 20th place was Charles Leclerc. Qualified, or lined up, I should say, P15 after the enormous blunder that Ferrari made during qualifying. He said at the start of the day that he was going to have to put some moves on, go out and fight. He was very measured in the way that he passed Romain Grosjean. Waited up, waited 2 laps, straight up the inside of Rascasse. Beautiful. The very next lap, though, tried to do the same thing on Hülkenberg. Had he taken those couple of laps to figure out what Hülkenberg was doing in that corner like he had done with Grosjean, might he have made that move stick? We'll never know, and ultimately that moment is what cost him his result, certainly a better result, in fact even finishing his home Grand Prix. Massive disappointment for Charles Leclerc at home, and one weekend I think he'll probably want to forget.
Charles, a tough day to a tough weekend. Can you kind of summarise how that race went for you?
Well, fun at the beginning. Obviously, it ended in disaster. It's pretty sad, but I'll try to bounce back at the next race.
Can you kind of take any encouragement from this weekend?
I think performance was quite good in FP3. Then apart from this, I think it's a weekend to forget.
So that's your lot from Paddock Pass here in Monaco, a weekend that has really been marked with sadness after the passing of Niki Lauda. We all wore our red hats on the grids to remember the great man. The red hat was his calling card, It wasn't a fashion statement, though. Niki wore his hat to cover the scars and the wounds that wept still until his dying day from the accident that he endured in 1976. Over 40 years he dealt with the aftermath of that accident with grace and bravery, as he did in everything in his life. I think for me the most telling thing about Niki, the strongest explanation of his will, was that he didn't let that crash define him. He defined that crash. He defined his life and his career, and didn't let anybody or anything do that for him. As we said in our first one, he was one of a kind, and they broke the mould. We're already feeling his loss and missing him deeply. But what a guy. What memories he's given us, and what a legacy his life has given the world. That's a lot from Paddock Pass, folks. We will see you in Canada.